As you're probably aware right now, WWE is constantly signing people from TNA, and if they're not signing to WWE, then they obviously go to AEW. And then, of course, a lot of people tend to believe, after the news of Gail Kim and some other notable names being fired from the company yesterday, that maybe WWE and TKO will try to acquire TNA. Now, today's news is actually about another signing for WWE, and this one looks like it could very well potentially happen, and this is some really groundbreaking stuff. We're going to talk about that plus so much more right here on the Ango Show. All right, guys, first things first, I want to kick things off with WrestleMania and more specifically Orlando, because the Orlando Sports Commission has officially submitted a request for an $18 million grant from the Tourist Development Tax Funds. Now, this commission is basically trying to bring a notable amount of a variety of TKO events to Orlando, Florida, between UFC and WWE. The bid includes hosting either WWE Survivor Series or Saturday Night's Main Event at the Kia Center in 2026, followed by a UFC pay-per-view in 2027, and in 2028, Orlando seeks to host the WWE Royal Rumble at Camping World Stadium. And however, this is where it gets a little bit crazier. Part of this grant, they are trying to get WrestleMania in 2031 with Camping World Stadium as the venue, and then the Kia Center basically hosting like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, stuff like that. Now, for those who don't know, Jason Segel, who is the president and CEO of the Greater Orlando Sports Commission, revealed that this endeavor comes about nearly 2 years of discussions and strategic planning, and he noted that other sports commissions such as Indianapolis have successfully secured similar events. Now, the reason why we're bringing this up is because when TKO formed between the UFC and WWE, I have made it relatively clear in my content that I believe these events will be paid for by the city, but it's not just going to be WWE. TKO is essentially going to try to package up all of their entities into one, and that way they could get paid even more significant money, which, if you guys didn't know, a lot of states, a lot of countries, they pay WWE to bring their events out there, and the premise of that is specifically because of the amount of tourism WWE brings in, which generates a ton of economic growth for the surrounding cities and businesses. So obviously for WWE, it makes a lot of sense with this approach, but also for Orlando, Florida, it also makes a lot of sense because WWE typically does very, very well in that market. Plus, as you can imagine, it's warm weather pretty much all year round. So this guarantees an influx of tourism. It's just a really good idea, and we'll see what actually happens. That brings us to our next topic. Swerve Strickland was on Vlad TV. Now Swerve Strickland goes on social media, and guys, he has dropped his retirement plans. If you guys didn't see anything with Swerve Strickland on Vlad TV, I highly encourage you guys check it out because Swerve really opened up about his WWE exit, issues in NXT, issues with Hit Row, some stuff with Top Dollar being the reason for being released. I mean, he really gets into it. But now what's actually really crazy is he goes on social media, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of buzz coming from this interview. He goes on social media and says, "Y'all got these next 5 years with me, and then I'm peace. Enjoy the show." Now, obviously, Swerve Strickland is signed to AEW for another 5 years. The belief is that Swerve Strickland has got a contract with AEW that is worth a couple $1 million at the very least. He is being paid handsomely well, and he's basically telling you guys his retirement plans. He's letting you guys know that at the end of this contract, he's done. Now, we'll obviously see how accurate and how true that is, but the reality is with Swerve Strickland being the one to vocalize his retirement plans, I think we got to take him for his word. Now, some people are very upset about this, and a lot of people feel like, hey, you're still young, what are you doing? However, I do think we should praise wrestlers. One, when you realize how incredibly difficult this sport is, right? It takes a toll on your body. And Swerve Strickland is basically admitting to everyone, hey, I don't want to be that guy that turns 50 years old and doing this and having body issues and things like that. You know, I think that there's something okay with that, right? Like, I think that's fine. And then also, I think another point that has to be made here is that I think a lot of wrestlers often they overstay their welcome, right? Swerve Strickland left WWE. He was obviously underutilized, goes to AEW. Initially, while being in the company, he was underutilized, but something clicked and AEW finally pulled the trigger, and they've managed to make Swerve Strickland one of the top guys in the company, which is just a fantastic thing. His work in AEW is incredible. And, you know, when you see a talent like that who basically says, look, I'm going to retire at the top of my game, I think that's respectable. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think you just got to look at the talent too. Like Swerve is somebody who, yes, he's very talented in the ring, but he also does music and he does things outside of professional wrestling. So in 5 years, if this is truly his last contract, the good news is Swerve Strickland will be able to make money and have a lot of resources even after this. And obviously that's a good thing, right? Like it's a smart way of planning. And I think this level of transparency coming from Strickland is really cool. So I'm okay with that. I wish him luck. I think he's done a fantastic job in AEW. And I think now would be the perfect time to remind you guys.
Now would be the best time to remind you that we have a major goal to hit 100,000 subscribers. Over 40% of the viewers who watch this channel are not subscribed. Please click subscribe if you enjoy staying educated on everything with wrestling news.
All right, guys, so now that brings us to our final topic. WWE may very well be signing Alex Hammerstone. We know that he's no longer in TNA. WrestleVotes has come out with a new report. He says that WWE is interested in signing Alex Hammerstone. Now, at this point, his contract did expire on March 7th, 2025, and a lot of people have obviously speculated, could he be on his way to WWE or AEW? Obviously, there's some stuff happening on AEW where a lot of people believe it would make sense for him to join with Richard Holiday and MJF. That doesn't appear to be happening. It looks like WWE may very well be signing Alex Hammerstone. There is no 100% confirmation on this. However, WrestleVotes was asked if WWE was interested in this. They are, as well as Kevin Knight, who you guys might remember from TNA or New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. Obviously, this is great news for WWE. If you look at NXT, one of the things that they absolutely need is some more heavy hitters in the main event scene for the men's division. Hammerstone would be a perfect fit in NXT. We've already seen him in NXT. This is one of those situations where it just ultimately makes a lot of sense, and I do look forward to seeing what ends up happening. Obviously, with WWE taking talent from TNA, it hurts TNA, but he has already departed TNA. So we'll see obviously what happens there. And as always, obviously, just because he goes to NXT, just because he goes to WWE or wherever it goes, it doesn't guarantee automatic success. But I think Hammerstone will fill a void with NXT, and that's what's really important. They have an issue, they got to solve it, and they probably will. And if you guys want more videos, guys, don't forget, click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.